guys, welcome to my channel. In this video you will learn how to send an email in your Ionic application using native plugin Email Composer. So let's go ahead and first create your Ionic application. First of all, we need to create our Ionic application. For that, I'll open command windows on my desktop. And here we need to start our Ionic application by typing Ionic start. Once we start our Ionic application, it will ask basic configurations about our Ionic application. Right now it's asking for the name of application. So I'll say Ionic app. Now it's asking for what type of Ionic application would I like to install. So I want to install blank application. So I'll say blank. And after that, it's asking for whether we want Cordova to be integrated with our iOS or Android. We want to test our Ionic application on device. So I'll say yes. So it's installing basic modules for our Ionic application. Once installation is finished, I'll be back. So the installation is finished. Now it's asking for whether we would like to install Ionic Pro SDK, but I don't want to install this, so I'll say no. So creating Ionic application is finished. Now I'll move to the root directory of our Ionic app. Then I'll simply type code space dot. Right now I'm using Visual Studio Code, so it will open our Ionic application in Visual Studio Code. As you can see that Ionic has created the basic project structure for our Ionic application. So let me open terminal over here. Then I'll close all these. And now we will install Email Composer plugin for both of Cordova and Ionic Native using these two commands. So let me first install Cordova plugin for Email Composer. Then I'll install Ionic Native Email Composer. So let's go ahead. So let me type Ionic Cordova plugin, add Cordova plugin email. So this will install Email Composer plugin for Cordova. So after that we will install this plugin for Ionic Native as well. So it's finished. Now install Email Composer plugin for Ionic Native as well. So I'll type npm install save, and then I'll say Ionic Native Email Composer. So this will install Email Composer in our Ionic Native as well. So let's move ahead and add this plugin in our app module. So I'll open source app module. I'll type import from, I'll copy this and say Email Composer, and type the plugin name Email Composer. So then I'll add this in our providers. And next we will open our home page and we will use this plugin in our home page. So let me copy Email Composer. I'll paste it over here and say, and next we will add this in our constructor function as well. So I'll say, so let me say public Email Composer, type of Email Composer. So now we need to add definition and add properties for our Email Composer. So I'll simply open the home.html file. Here I'll update the content, say div. Then I'll give a padding to it, and next I'll add a button and say type of button is Ion button, and give it a block property as well because we want this to be a full width button, and say send. So let's add an event click. Click send, copy this and add definition over here. And now we want to add some inputs for our email properties. Let's say subject and body, and then we want to add a center field as well. So I'll go home page. Here I want to add an ion item, so I'll say ion item. Then I'll add ion label. Say ion label. And then I'll give this a primary color. So say primary, and type of label is stacked. Next we will add an ion input of type text. Then I'll close this, and next we'll add a placeholder. Type your subject, then I'll add this, and then I'll add label as subject, and I'll copy this and add two other properties as well. So I'll say body content, and then I'll say content, then I'll copy this for another time. I'll type to which we want to send email. Say here I'll say to as well. Now we should bind these properties to our models. For subject I'll say model is equal to subject, then I'll copy this for other inputs as well. Say body, and then for this I'll say 2. So that's all for this. Now we'll move to our home.typescript file. So let's add variables for our input. So I'll say subject is equal to empty string, then I'll copy these for other two inputs as well. So I'll say body and 2 as well. Now let us add object for our email. So let me say let email is equal to 2 will be equal to, I'll say this dot 2. Although you can use multiple emails using array of emails like this, and you can add multiple emails like this, but I'll use this dot 2 because we have set our input property. So I'll say this dot 2, then cc. I'll keep this empty. You can add multiple in array. Then I'll say bcc empty as well. Then I'll say attachments. You can add multiple attachments in array as well. I'll keep this empty as well. Then I'll say subject this dot subject, then I'll say body this dot body, which we have set in our inputs. Then next I'll say is HTML. These are HTML is the optional parameters, but I want to show you, so I'll say false. Next is app. App is also optional parameter, but you can use this to define your application using which you can send you will send your email. So here I am saying Gmail. Now we'll use our email composer to send open our application, and we will send using that application. So I'll use email composer. So I'll say this dot email composer dot open, and here I'll say email. So this will open our Gmail application, and we will send this email using Gmail. So let's test this on our device. So guys, our application is running on device. So let me simply type subject. I'll say test subject. I have not added any validation, so I'll have to type text in any way. So for body content, I'll say test body, and then I want to send to say tech so tutorials, the email of my channel, tutorials at gmail.com. Then I'll simply send, and this will pop out our Gmail application, and you will find that subject of our Gmail application will be test subject, and body will be test body, and receiver will be tutorials at gmail.com. So simply send. So as you can see that our subject is test subject and our body is test body, and you can see that our receiver is tutorial. So let me send this email. Our email is sent. So that's all for this tutorial. Please subscribe my channel if you like my video. Thanks for watching.